right, we're going to go ahead and get this council meeting going. Start with call to order and roll call. Or, well, I just did call to order, didn't I? Let's do roll call.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem LaBarre,
Present.
Councilmember Alfieri,
Here.
Councilmember Case,
Here.
Councilmember Neal,
Here.
Councilmember Zulawaga.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance.
Still in the wrong order.
I know.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. America, we love you.
I'm going to sneak in and put those flags in the correct order soon.
All right, we're on to ceremonies, presentations, and appointments. And we're going to start with 3A, appointments to keep Woodland Park beautiful. And Suzanne is our presenter.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This evening, we have one interested applicant for Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Committee. There are currently 9 openings on this committee. The applicant is Jeanette Horwood, and I am not sure, there's a lot of people here. I don't know if Jeanette's in the audience. If you are, there she is. Jeanette's available if council should have any questions.
Council, do you have any questions or comments of Jeanette? Or are you comfortable in making a motion to appoint?
I'd like to have her hear what she's got to say. Yeah.
Okay. Come on up. And if you'll just introduce yourself and tell us why you're interested, that would be great.
Okay, my name is Jeanette Horwood. I have been living in Woodland Park for 4 years coming up, and it's just a beautiful town. And I would just like to contribute and help out and keeping it the way it is and improving it in any way I can. So that is my intention.
Excellent. Council, any questions or comments?
No, I noticed you've already been on a citywide cleanup, so
I have.
you've already rolled up your sleeves, right?
Indeed, yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, we certainly need it, so welcome. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for applying.
Thank you.
Council, can I get a motion?
I will make a motion to appoint
Jeanette Horwood.
Jeanette Horwood to the Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Committee.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Alfieri,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
LaBarre,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Zulawaga.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. With your permission, Mayor, may I swear her in?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll just have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeanette Horwood,
I, Jeanette Horwood,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
the charter and ordinances
the charter and
of the
ordinances
city of Woodland Park,
of the city of Woodland Park,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of member of the Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Committee,
of member of the Woodland Park, Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Committee,
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll have you just. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 3B. And I believe we have a council member who wanted to say something before we started.
Yes, I have a comment. I had been strongly encouraged to not recuse myself from this topic in an attempt to force this council to have a rather inappropriate and undignified conversation, delving into idle gossip about the nature of my relationship with Tanner Coy. I have decided that I cannot subject my fellow council members to having such an undignified conversation. Therefore, I can only, in good conscience, recuse myself from this topic on the basis of my personal, intimate relationship with Tanner Coy. Thank you. Please excuse me.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right, council, have all of you had the chance to review the applications and resumes of everyone who has applied?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
This evening, instead of going through a bunch of hullabaloo and any kind of character assassinations or long speeches, I would prefer that we call motions for those who have applied and make motions to appoint.
I have a reservation about that. I probably want to express it to the city attorney.
Sure.
I am concerned that there are, once again, in respect for people's confidentiality, there are significant conflict of interests of some of the applicants with the DDA board and the DDA activities. And I know that you're already apprised of some of that. So my concern is, rather than bring it out in public, should this be aired in an executive session?
You have a right at any public meeting to make a motion to go into executive session to get legal advice. It requires 2/3 of the sitting, of who's sitting. So what would be 2/3 of 5? Because this was opened by 5 people. Who's good at math?
That would be 3.
3. So if you want to make a motion to go into executive session to get legal advice, for the purpose of legal advice pursuant to the statute, that's within your right to do. And then if there's 3 votes for that, then we can move into executive session. We can go somewhere to have that.
Well, as Councilwoman Alfieri's already recused herself, would we bring her back for that motion? Is that appropriate, inappropriate?
She doesn't need to come back. She's recused herself from the entire
For
topic.
the entire topic? Okay.
Is it more of a math question of, I think it's still the 5, but I think 3 would still be needed. Well, yeah, definitely 3 would still be needed because, yeah.
Oh, we're all here.
Yeah, we're,
Council?
so I guess my further comment to that is that because of these concerns, I would not be okay for us going straight to a motion for appointment.
Sure.
So,
Do you feel
yeah.
like you would like a moment with the city attorney?
I do,
Okay.
yeah,
We could do that.
okay.
Sure.
With the council.
Yeah,
entire
with the,
council,
You're right.
yeah, in an executive session. We can take a brief.
So we want to make the right motion.
So we would actually pause the city meeting right now.
Yes,
Go upstairs to an executive session for however long and then
Yes.
come back down.
correct.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
But you would need to make a motion for the executive session. Do you have the, I could pull it up. I think it would be appropriate, yeah, here it is. Councilmember Zulaga to make a motion to move to go into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-402 for, and the bases, it would be for legal advice, which is, well, it's within that same statute, to obtain legal advice. And then you would make the motion, and if 3 members vote for that, then we can go into executive session. And the reason is to get legal advice about, whatever you're going to say.
Right. And would it also be appropriate that the representation of legal counsel is there as well from the DDA so that both you and the legal counsel can share this with council?
No, because I'm giving you legal advice. You're my client, and it's confidential legal advice. I don't believe the DDA attorney is here. I did speak with him, so I do understand his position that I could share.
Okay, that's fine. That's enough. That's good. Okay, so then, so moved according to what you just read, if that works for you, Suzanne.
And the legal advice, you're getting legal advice about, just explain that a little bit, like a few words. I
I need
think.
to give a detail as to why you want legal
Yeah, I'd
advice.
like a little bit more
Oh,
detail.
the reason I like legal advice for counsel is because there is a significant conflict of interest with some of our applicants. And rather than air a bunch of things in the open, I'd like just to make us.
That's enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's enough.
okay, good, thanks.
Council, can I get a second for that?
I'm going to ask for an opinion, whether you think it is wise to second that. I mean, this is completely new to me, so.
I heard someone from the audience say, is that legal advice? Let's go to legal advice about that. That's a political consideration when you say, is it wise? It is appropriate. You have that is a reason for a legal advice that you are able to, by the law. It's one of the bases by which your meeting no longer, that part of the meeting is in the open meetings, you go into the executive session. So you're legally permitted to do so. When you say is a good idea, that's more, a lot different communities have different feelings about when it is and isn't, when it is and isn't, appropriate for the public not to hear. I will say that I won't opine on certain, I mean, maybe I'll explain some of it, but I wouldn't feel comfortable opining about particular this issue in public. So I don't know if that helps you answer your question.
Okay, I will second it.
Okay. So I have the motion to go into executive session regarding Colorado State Statute 24-6-402 for legal advice regarding the conflict of interest of potential DDA applicants. I have the motion made by Councilmember Zuluaga, the second by Councilmember Neal. And let's have the vote. Case,
No.
Labar,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Zuluaga.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1. We'll adjourn to executive session.
Hopefully it'll be short.
Meeting back to order. Yeah.
All right, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting back to order.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to give a summary. You as council went into executive session. We will hold the applicable recording for 90 days. You had asked for legal advice regarding conflicts of interest and the DDA board appointments. If any of you believe that that conversation went beyond the scope of the reasoning, let us know now. Otherwise, hands it up to you to continue the open meeting.
All right, let's go ahead and continue where we were.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to approve Al Bourne as a reappointment to the DDA Board of Directors for a term of 4 years.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Labar,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Zulawaga,
Yes.
Case.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Council, can we continue?
I would like to skip John.
You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, because the wording is going to be important.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Tony Perry to the Downtown Development Authority Board of Directors to serve a term of 4 years.
I'll second the motion.
Can we have discussion?
Council may have discussion.
Great. Can someone, whether it's Nina or someone from the DDA board, clarify there's 2 types of positions on the DDA that need filling? We have, as far as I understand, 4 vacancies, and there's a difference in the types of vacancies. So can we please clarify that for the record, what the qualifications are for each, and then of these 6 applicants, which ones qualify for the 2 and the
Is
other
that in
2?
your bylaws? Would you like me to, is there?
In the DDA bylaws, there's a requirement that so many
Right. so I'll
of the
look at it.
board members, a majority of the board members need to be residents and
Oh, the
own
statute.
property.
Yes, yes.
And the minority can be simply working in the area.
Is that in the bylaws? So I'll start with to answer your question, the original, the statute. So the statute says that, I'll start there, that other than the city council member of the DDA board, each DDA board member must, and these are or, 1, reside in the downtown development district, or be a business lessee of the downtown development district, or own real property in the downtown development district. And then the statute goes on to say a manager, agent, or employee of the entity with the business is eligible. And it sounds like you are also asking about what's in the bylaws, which I'll have to look at. I'm not as familiar with that. When you say the minority and majority.
Mayor Pro Tem, as Attorney Williams looks that up, the other thing for council to consider is of the 4 positions, 3 are for full terms. And 1 position is the position of Ellen Carrick, which is not a full-term position. They would just be finishing her term.
Which is approximately 3 years.
Correct.
And then, Councilmember Zaga, do you know the part, I'm just trying to, are you talking about the office? Or I'm trying to see what the board members that were, to answer your question fully.
Well, what I can tell you, what I know is that currently the majority members are Mary Jo, Tanner Coy, Ellen Carrick, Jerry Good, and Jan Wilson. Those 5 fulfill the requirements to be part of the majority because I believe that they either own property there or are a resident in the district. The other minority members can simply work or be a manager or in that area. So we just have to be mindful as we take this vote that we fill these seats accordingly.
Yeah, and I'm looking for that language in the bylaws. I'm not sure if there's anywhere else that would be, I don't see that. So I don't know if there's another policy that would address that, that the DDA has itself.
Is Paul Benedetti here or is he on the Zoom?
I'm not sure if he's on Zoom. He's not here. I know he said he wasn't coming. I just don't see that in the bylaws. If anyone, can point to that, that would be helpful. But what I read was from the statute, it was 1, 2, or 3. I don't see that you're saying, unless that's a policy that has been established within the DDA. I'm looking at, in the bylaws, not finding that if anyone.
Attorney Williams, Jerry Good just raised his hand. He's a member of the board. Maybe he
Okay.
could weigh in on that. Come up to the,
If you like.
Benedetti's not online.
Hi, Jerry Good. I'm a resident of Woodland Park and a business owner and DDA board member. It really pains me to get up here and say this, but because I just hate public speaking, but can you speak louder, Jerry, please? I believe that there are huge conflicts of interest here, and I'm going to point them out, at least some of them right now. One being some of the candidates.
Jerry, that's not why you're up here. You're out of order. I'm sorry. They were asking if you knew the bylaw rules.
do you know the bylaws, Jerry, that require a majority being resident owners in the district versus those who are minority members of the board who serve?
I don't know the numbers, honestly. I don't. I request ability before you vote to have a comment before a vote is actually taken place. I think it's very, very important to bring it out publicly.
I understand, Jerry, but unfortunately, we're not doing that right now. We were actually in the middle of the vote until a council member had a question.
You bet.
So 3125-806 speaks to the requirements for board membership. And that is what I read. It's a 1, 2, or 3. I'm looking at the bylaws. I don't see anything that says, the majority or minority. Not to say that's not maybe a standing policy that everyone's agreed to, but not seeing that in the statute or the bylaws, anything about that.
Mr. Coy, I know you know the answer.
I'm assuming if no one's pointing to something, there's nothing in I know there's nothing in the statute that says otherwise, and I don't see anything in the bylaws that say otherwise.
Sure. Mr. Coy, if you can point out where the language is, I would appreciate it. If you cannot, that's all right.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood the question. You're asking about the DDA bylaws and the requirements?
Councilmember
for-
Zuluaga, will you repeat your question, please?
Sure. Mr. Coy, from my understanding of the appointments of the positions, the vacant positions of the DDA, we have majority members that have certain requirements and then minority members in the DDA board that we're filling. So I understand we have 2 vacancies as majority members and 2 as minority members. Is that correct? And if so, could you tell us where that is in the?
Boy, I'd have to think through that just a little bit, but my understanding of it is that requirement is spelled out in the statute.
No, this statute says 3125-806, each appointed member except the member from the governing body shall reside, comma, be a business lessee, comma, or own real property in the downtown development district. And then it says a manager, an agent, or employee of a business entity having a place in the business shall be eligible for appointment. And then it says no officer or employee of the municipality where the authority is located other than the appointee from the governing body shall be eligible for appointment to the board.
Yeah, I wasn't done. I'm sorry. So did you say no to what I was saying?
Correct. The
Okay, so if
interpretation of
I could
statute, yes.
just finish, then what I'd like to say is that the requirements the council member is asking about are spelled out in the statutes. And without having a copy in front of me, as some of you do, my recollection is that exactly what was just read is the case. And the statute goes on to say that a majority of those appointed must reside in or own property in the district. So if there are 9 appointed members, 5 must reside in or own property in the district. Is that clear?
I'm not finding it, but I'm looking as you're talking.
No, it's in there.
Okay, we'll give our attorney a moment to look at that. Thank you, Mr. Cloy.
No pressure.
I know. I just don't see. Well, this is almost, no, all meetings, open meetings of the board shall be open. This is another part of. It would be good.
If I might, I think all the applicants that are in the packet meet those criteria.
The owner or,
Yes.
then, okay, then it's,
And I think that most of them own property. So I don't think it's gonna, because I think that the number is a minimum of the majority of 5.
that own or own the
Yes.
business or, okay, so then it's,
Just was looking through them. So,
okay, so then you can move on, because then it's either way.
Yeah, so I simply brought it up to say we need to be mindful of that
Sure.
because if we've appointed incorrectly, then that means down the road, we got to unwind it.
thank you.
No, thank you, and I'm, not a TV expert, but, okay.
Okay, let's carry on.
We have a motion and a second
There was I seconded the motion.
for Mr. Perry.
Oh, so we're
Yeah,
at
I
Suzanne.
seconded the motion. Suzanne?
I have that. Thank you, sir. Okay, Neil,
Yes.
Zulawaga,
Yes.
Case,
Yes,
Labar.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion to appoint Tony Perry is unanimous.
thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yes. Councilmember Zulaga. So I was looking at the 806, 31-25-806. The section before that, 31-25-805, board membership term of office, says that their board should be not less than 5, not more than 11. And then a majority of the members shall reside or own property in the downtown development district.
So then it's after the vote, I know, but Tony, do you own property in the downtown district? Is Al Bourne also an owner of Park State Bank? Did we just create a conflict here with having 2 from the same entity that we were concerned about when we had Mary Jo and Marty?
No, they were family. They're related, family members.
Is it a problem according to the statute that we have just elected 2 from the same entity?
I don't see anything to that effect. I'll let you know, and we would redo. I don't see that in the statute as to that, there's 2 members of the same entity or owner, unless anyone tells me otherwise, but I don't see that. And then just back to Suzanne's point, are we being mindful of the terms?
I
Okay.
have my motion included the number.
Okay,
of
sorry, I
years.
was looking.
You comfortable with letting us carry on? Okay.
Mayor Pro
Carry on.
Tem, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Arden Weatherford to the Downtown Development Authority Board of Directors for a term of 4 years.
I'll second the motion.
Zulawaga,
No.
Case,
Yes,
Labar,
Yes.
Neil.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-1.
and Mayor Pro Tem Labar, I'd like to make a motion to appoint John Gamelke to the Downtown Development Authority Board of Directors for the term of 3 years in place of Ellen Carrick, who has decided not to continue.
And I'll second that one also.
Case,
Yes,
Labar,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes.
Zulawaga.
No.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-1. All right. if all of these individuals are here, I can administer their oaths of office this evening.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know if everyone's here.
We can at least, those that are,
Yeah.
come
I
forward.
know I've seen Arden, I saw Tony, I didn't see Al.
John's here.
John's
John is
here,
here.
okay, excellent. Okay, just give me
Where's
1
Al?
second, please.
He's not here.
He wasn't at the meeting the other day either.
Does council need a recap or everybody understand? Okay. Okay, can I have Tony Perry, Al Bourne, is he here? John, okay, John G? I know to call you John G.
There you go, thank you.
Can't say your last name.
See, that's why.
Arden, please.
Thanks, Suzanne.
You're welcome. Okay, so John, you understand yours is the 3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
So if I can have the three of you raise your hand, right hand, and repeat after me. I, and then state your name.
I state your name.
Tony Perry.
I knew that was
John
coming.
Gamelke, Arden Weatherford.
Thank you. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Colorado,
and of the state of Colorado,
the charter and ordinances
the charter and ordinances
of the city of Woodland Park,
of the city of Woodland Park,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
of member of the DDA
of member of the DDA
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Can I have you all sign these real quick? Tony, here's yours. John? And then
Do you want me to say something?
you just sign on that line there. It makes it official.
Records.
Do I need David?
I'll take
Sure.
care of
Okay,
this.
thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
All right, we're carrying on to item number 4, additions, deletions, or corrections to agenda. None. On to consent calendar. We have 5A, and Suzanne is the presenter for that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have we have 2 items on the consent
Alright.
calendar, and if council desires, we can,
May I
sir?
pause for a second?
Yes.
The recusal was only for that voting, is my understanding. So is she
She left.
available? Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's not coming back for the
Before she left, she had a very serious car accident on Sunday. She thought she was feeling well enough to stay. And when she got here, she said that she would prefer to recuse herself and go.
Okay. I didn't know if she was standing by somewhere.
No, thanks for checking though. Just in case. Okay, I'm sorry, Suzanne.
That's okay, thank you. We have 2 items this evening on the consent calendar. We can look at them individually or we can take them all together. The first item is the council meeting minutes from the June 17th meeting. And the second item is an approval of the contract with Myers Land Surveying Company for $35,100 to conduct the geophysical survey and ground penetrating radar and mapping of the Woodland Park Cemetery. If council would like more detail on that, Rob Feltz is with us here in the back and willing to present and answer any questions that council may have regarding that contract.
Rob, you want to fill us in on that a little?
Yeah, so as you guys know, right now we're not selling cemetery plots for caskets in the cemetery. The reason for that is digging in the ground. We've started to find things that weren't supposed to be there. So it's a big issue.
Did you find that motorcycle yet?
Excuse me?
Did you find that motorcycle yet?
No, haven't. That's what the ground penetrating radar is for. But so from there, it stops everything. The coroner has to get involved. It's in a crime scene. until they investigate it. And then on the other side, it causes us to have to, go tell a widow the day before a funeral that they have to change all their plans. So that's the reason that we stopped doing it. However, we've already sold plots, so we still have to honor those. So we're still taking a chance every time we dig, finding something that's not supposed to be there. So that's part A from the ground penetrating radar, is to eliminate that happening in the future. If we see stuff that we've sold, that there's something already there, then we can address that now. We can go to them and be like, hey, we need to make changes until, before the last minute. The other thing, we're looking at developing the backside. We're about 80% filled out in the cemetery right now. So we're looking at opening up the backside. So getting images there of what's under the ground will tell us if there's anything else buried back there that we didn't know about, like, 100 years ago. And then that'll tell where we can put roads, where we can put graves, where we can put everything else. And, it's better to know what's there before we start digging and moving dirt around and finding something on accident. And then the other thing it does, it makes this a live map. So we'll be able, like right now, if we do this or we get it done and we just have a piece of paper that shows what we've got, it's current today, but the next time we dig, it's no longer current. So it gives us the ability to go in and update it every time we make a change, and it's a living map so that this doesn't happen in the future. Because now I have records that are, I have a shoebox full of note cards. I've got some binders on the wall, and then I've got a database that I'm creating that's just taking time. And so, it takes me about 4 hours every time I sell a plot to go through every one of those note cards to make sure that we're not selling something redundantly. And then, and again, when somebody calls and says they need a burial, I got to look back through all those notes again. So this just puts everything right there for us. So it changes, what's over 4 hours of work for me to like 20 minutes. Customers will be able to take an iPad or a phone out to the cemetery and be like, hey, I want this plot, sends me a message, and I say, okay, it's yours. And we do the transaction and it's over. I also have the contractors that are available on Zoom. If anybody has any technical questions about that aspect of it.
Council, do you guys have any questions or comments?
What I'm trying to do is follow procedures. I don't want them separated unless somebody is uncomfortable voting as a group. I have one question for the city manager. I don't think it's going to even lead to discussion. It's just a question.
No worries. Go ahead.
The funds, the 35,100, I don't remember what we appropriated for this survey. Do you have the funds to cover this, or were they sufficient to cover the 35,100? Say that again. Thank you.
I would say that $60,000 was appropriated initially for the sake of grading road improvements in the cemetery. However, that was assuming that the work that Rob has described here, sonography would have been completed in 2020, which it was not. So the road and grading has to follow the sonography. So we're kind of moving back here. Money that was appropriated for 2020 went back into the general fund balance, so that can be reappropriated in the future for the road and grade and whatever.
That explains it. I just wanted to make sure, and everybody in the public knew that we had appropriated the funds for this, and it was fully covered.
So my only question is, when you find the motorcycle, will you make it public?
I'll get pictures.
And call the courier.
I think there's a horse in there too somewhere.
All right, great. Council, anything further? No?
That's good.
All right. Thank you, Rob.
And on the, just before we agree to them both, on the agenda, page 2, there's only one notation I'd like to see if we could correct it, and then it's fine to approve it. You have where I say Councilmember Zuluaga, liaison to the DDA, shared the following. Would you say that it was shared the attorney's concerns, the following concerns? Or you could say Paul Benedetti or whatever.
I can add that. Thank you. And I recall that too.
Yeah, well, that was what the email was from that I forwarded you. So
Very good. Anything else?
Otherwise.
Okay. All right, so I think we can go ahead and do
I'll
both.
move to approve the consent calendar as presented
With amendment.
with an amendment to the minutes as Mr. Zuluaga just acknowledged or described. That's a better word.
And I'll second it.
Labar,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes.
Zuluaga,
Yes.
Case.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, now we're going to move on to item number 6, public comment on items not on the agenda.
Okay, we have some comment here, ma'am. We are going to start with the first person that I have is Max Levy.
Okay. And just so those are on Zoom know, I do see hands up, so we will get to you after we get to the audience members.
Hello,
Hi, Max.
is this volume okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Max Levy. I help my mom manage our restaurant, The Swiss Chalet at 19263 East Highway 24. I'm here to share one of the best experiences I've ever had with the city. Back in 2007, 2008, I was privileged to be part of a group of students in the community called the Mayor's Team of Youth Advisors. And that opportunity allowed me and a lot of my peers to spend time with the mayor at the time, which is, former Mayor Randolph. And we had the opportunity to, discuss a variety of issues. We had the opportunity to share our perceptions and to hear his and really understand, the meaning of civil discourse and political discourse. And to me, that really showed that the city was signaling an investment in future generations of Woodland Park. It showed that there was a caring and a consideration for what was to come after the council and the mayor at the time and the happenings in the community at the time. And unfortunately, I can say without any measure of a doubt that the current council is not equipped for that same endeavor. They're not equipped to follow and drive those same principles forward, which as a young member of the community, someone who grew up here and is now back here, chosen to come back here, is quite discouraging. Now more than ever, as young businesses, old businesses, young families and old families look to Woodland Park as a place to build their future, I cannot help but look at this council and ask, is this the best possible team to come together and lead Woodland Park into a better future for me, my kids' kids? Your recent conduct has fallen short at best, and this fact is painfully obvious. Our council members should be the foremost leaders in our community. They, in my opinion, should be forward-thinking, solution-oriented. They should be invested in the community, past, present, and future. So I'm here to implore you all to reflect on your role as council members. To meet expectations is not enough, but to fall short, as you have time and time again, is blatantly unacceptable. In closing, I look at the events of the last several months of the council. The question is unavoidable, and the sentiment, I can say with great confidence, is widespread in our community. Can we look to this council as an example of how great we can be, how great Woodland Park can be, how great the future of this city can be for families, businesses? I could go on and on. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Max.
Next signed up is we have David Buttery.
Mayor Pro Tem, council, staff, good evening. David Buttery, 105 Sunrise Court here in Woodland Park. I know you're going to be in the throes of the budget season here soon if you're not already. And I want to revisit one particular issue as it relates to the budget. In 1984, the citizens of Woodland Park passed a 1 cent sales tax that was dedicated to street and roadway improvements. Some folks refer to it as the 410 fund, the street fund, or the 1 cent fund. That fund started generating sales tax revenue in 1984. And in early 1990s, there were some air quality issues that caused the city to bond for street improvements. The street improvements were made in 1994, 1995, and 1996. I got here in 1997 and inherited a city that had freshly paved streets. Well, those streets are now somewhere between 25 and 27 years of age, the vast majority of them, and they still need the 410 fund to keep their maintenance going. Rob, if you could do the first slide, please. So again, the 410 fund was intended to build and maintain streets and roadways. And basically the first slide, if it were up there, would say protect the 410 fund, which it does. What I want you to do is, if you get a chance, I want you to drive Browning Street, all the way from the bottom to the very tip top to the teeny tiny cul-de-sac up there. And you'll get an example of the poor condition of some of the roads here in Woodland Park. I want you to understand that I do not fault the crews for this at all. The crews are woefully short. There are only 3 people in the streets crew. 7 should be there. They can't keep up with the work that the streets demand for them. Please find a way to hire more streets crew members so that they can take care of what is one of the largest investments that this community has ever made. And just by the way, that 410 fund, that debt was paid off 2 or 3 years early because of good fiscal management by the city. The other thing I would encourage you to do is to realize that those 410 funds not only take care of our local streets and roadways, but they also provide the matching funds for federal projects. Next slide, please. So recently, the city underwent installation of another iteration of ADA, accessible ramps. In the 27 years that I've been watching ADA regulations, this is the 3rd iteration of an unfunded mandate to change the design of ramps. Unfunded mandates, which means that the city has the responsibility to do those. And it's the 410 fund that allows you to meet those federal requirements. They don't provide you any money to do that. They also provided the matching funds for improvements on Highway 24 and 67 that started in 1995 and go to this present day. So as the improvements are going to continue up Highway 67, or new ones are going to be made on 24, it's going to be the 410 fund that provides those matching funds so that you don't have to dip into the general fund to cover those costs. The other thing, let's go to the next slide, please. The other thing too is they provide the matching dollars for projects such as safe routes to schools. If you don't have the funds to do that, then you won't be eligible to make those kinds of improvements. So my message to you simply is, last slide, please, is simply to save the 410 fund. It was there for a reason. Protect it as you can. Don't dilute it. Don't listen to people who say, let's cut some of it away to do other things with it. The city needs that full fund to stay in its entirety to take care of the largest investment that you have here in the city of Woodland Park. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Very good.
We have someone on Zoom by the name of Joe Kent.
Okay, I can bring him in. I just brought him in, but it just disappeared on my screen. So Mr. Kent, if you're there, let us know. Not seeing it.
Okay. And then other than that, the other individuals have signed up for other items.
Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and move on. We have no unfinished business. And number 8, ordinances on initial posting. We have 8A. And Suzanne's going to present that for us. And Suzanne, we're going to go ahead and combine 8A and 10B.
Thank you. Okay, I have the pleasure, as our utilities director is finally on vacation, I have the pleasure of just introducing this ordinance to the council on initial posting, as well as resolution number 877, which is 10B. We will handle them both together like we typically do. Kip, the things that Kip sent you a staff report. I spoke to him earlier as he briefed me on what he wanted me to make sure that I got across to council. He wants council to know that this couple that we are purchasing the water share from, the Talkingtons, that we've worked with them 2 to 3 years ago. We've purchased shares from them. So it's not our first time. It's a new name to this council, but not our first time doing business with them. The second thing that Kip wanted me to make sure that I emphasize to council is that these are Twin Lakes Reservoir shares from Twin Lakes, and that this does not expand capacity. It just ensures our future. And that, as always, we do the resolution to approve the contract and the ordinance because it's real personal property. And that's why we have the two separate motions, two different items. And last, that the purchase price is $43,500.
Council, questions, comments?
Well, if you were Kip, I would ask you. I would ask you, so this personal property is deeded each year, is that correct? The water shares?
It's
And-
actually
and the
real
reason-
property.
What's that?
It's actually real property.
I mean, sorry, a real property, right? That's, yeah,
It's
exactly.
just dated once.
Well, it's deeded once, but then is it? Here's
like-
why, if we've dealt with them before.
It's like land and they can
Correct,
decide
right.
to sell.
So does that mean that this water share we're paying 43,500 for is good for 2021? Or is this good?
In perpetuity, correct.
Oh, in perpetuity?
Correct. One time.
Oh,
One-time
thanks, Kip.
payments.
That's great. That's
Yes.
great clarification, right?
We've bought other shares from them in the past, not since you've been seated.
Correct,
Yeah.
right.
So we own more shares that we've purchased in previous years from them that we
From them,
still own.
right, okay. And it's worth noting that this water is traveling 105 miles to come to us. Just if you don't know, we get water from a long way away to fill our reservoirs or our share. Yeah.
And Kip will be available. The ordinance is just placing it on initial posting
Yeah.
for a public hearing on July 15th. So at that time, if council has more questions, Kip will be here to answer them. So I would need a motion for the ordinance and then a motion for the resolution.
Are you on it?
Go ahead. You know what the exact language.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1400 series 2021 appropriating the purchase of certain water shares on initial posting and set the public hearing for July 15th, 2021.
And I'll go ahead and second that one.
Okay. Neil,
Yes.
Zulawaga,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Labar.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Motion carries unanimously.
And I will make a motion to approve Resolution 877 Series 2021, authorizing the purchase of water shares from certain sellers and appropriating cash from the enterprise funds for said purchases.
Do you want to second it?
Second. Thank you, Rusty. I feel like I'm participating.
Zulawaga,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Labar,
Yes.
Neil.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, council.
Thank you. Thanks for filling in for Kip. All right, we're going to move on to item B, to approve ordinance number 1397, and Sally Riley is presenting.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council, staff, and citizens.
Happy birthday, Sally.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone coming out for my birthday.
Great response.
We didn't get Suzanne to get the party hats and little streamer thing.
Ordinance 1397 is on initial posting. This is a legislative item that is repealing the 180-day occupancy limitation, which is written in the definitions of recreational park trailers and recreational vehicles, and asking that you set the public hearing for August 5th. And the reason we're setting it a month ahead is in order to accommodate one of the campground owners' travel plans. So if you were curious about that. Since the end of May, the Planning Commission first scheduled a hearing for this particular ordinance and decided to table it in order for the Planning Commission to have a work session. They had a very robust discussion during their work session, and those notes were attached to your packet this evening. Then on June 24th, last Thursday, there was a public hearing, and the Planning Commission passed this ordinance, or recommended that you approve the ordinance. And they had a vote of 5-1. Part of the reason that they were supportive of removing the 180-day limitation is because planning staff suggested that we create what is called a status quo letter for each of the campground owners. So that letter will establish their current operations as is, and that it would acknowledge that existing and future campers would not be evicted, that they will maintain their campground with the existing number of spaces and land use, and that they would always ensure that the vehicles are registered, insured, and mobile. And lastly, that if they were to ever change their land use or number of spaces, then there would be a required public hearing process, whether it is updating or amending an existing conditional use permit, which is the case for Diamond Campground, or establishing a conditional use, which would be the case for Bristlecone, or amending the planned unit development, which would be the case for Woodland RV Park. These owners have participated in these discussions and are feeling positive about moving forward with the repeal of the 180-day limitation. This being on initial posting, you may or may not decide to take public comment, but staff and the Planning Commission would recommend you approve this ordinance this evening on initial posting and set the public hearing for August 5th. Thank you.
Council questions?
I'd just like to know, Sally, the three park owners were not objectionable to any of the items in the status quo letter?
They are not.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was a great compromise, what I've seen, and I did not see any objections from the Planning Commission. I read it very carefully, so I'm hoping we can move this forward now.
Sure.
Yeah, I do know we have public comment. I would like to hear that before we vote on it very
Sure.
much.
Yeah, if there's anyone.
I have two individuals signed up, Mayor Pro Tem. I have Carl Kiermaier. Am I saying that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, citizens of Woodland Park. My name is Carl Kiermaier, 1280 Shady Crest Circle. I recommend, or I respectfully request that you do not remove the 180-day limit on recreational vehicles in these parks, in these businesses. In my opinion, there are too many variables that have not been considered when making this change to a regulatory ordinance. I don't know, and maybe you guys do, what are the taxes? How is Woodland Park, the city, who is required to maintain roads, as Mr. Buttery had stated with the 410 fund, how are we receiving taxes? Is there property tax, sales tax, ordinance, or occupancy taxes like hotels have? Is there anything like that? Has that been considered? Health and safety, making this permanent. Will this then make those houses that become houses now because they're permanent? They don't have to move. They don't have to. They say that they have to be mobile. How do we know? There's vehicles that have been in there for years that have not moved. So how do we know they're mobile? You guys check it? I don't think so. If we do make it permanent, or we don't remove the 180, if we leave the 180-day in place, or if we remove the 180-day place, school-age kids that are now living there, do they, as a property owner here in Woodland Park, I take a look at my taxes. I pay school taxes. Are these folks who are living there, but only temporarily because it's 180 days, are they paying school taxes? Who lives there? Do we even know who lives there? Are they out of state? Do they drive their RV, park it up there, claim residency in Texas where they have no state taxes, but then they live up in Woodland Park? I don't know. I don't know if you guys know. Are they then considered residents if they're only there temporarily, or if they become permanent, are they considered residents of Woodland Park? I don't know. And who owns the RVs? Say it does become permanent after 180 days. What if they resell it to somebody? Does that count? Does that start the 180 days over? Or if it's permanent, if they sell their RV saying, oh, I want to move down to Arizona, it's cold up here, then do they resell it? I know that there's talk about these RV facilities having students that go to Chartis, and the classes are 9 months long. Okay, what if those guys who own that then, oh, I'm done with Chartis, I'm just going to sell it to the next guy that's going to go to Chartis. Let them live there. Conditions of facilities, just a quick glance through some of these facilities, they've already made themselves permanent. They've built decks next to their RVs, large propane tanks, awnings underneath the wheels. I don't think that's the intention of recreational vehicles. As city council members, you are stewards of the city of Woodland Park and are responsible for all residents, not just a few business owners. Woodland Park Planning Commission seems to not be acting in the best interests of all Woodland Park residents. During the meeting that I attended on June 24th, the chairman doesn't even show any semblance of being unbiased. When during the last meeting, he addressed one of the RV park owners by his first name and states that he should be able to sell his property. I understand business owners are in business to make a profit, and they have every right to do that. But when an RV park has permanent residents, then the business owner can sell that property at a guaranteed, and the property has guaranteed income. The business owner can then ask a premium selling price, but the residents of Woodland Park are now stuck. They sell it to somebody, say these guys are doing a good job, they sell it to somebody. Well, if that guy doesn't care, he's not going to do as good a job as the next guy or the guy prior to him. With these unknown variables of permanent residents living in RVs, we're going to be stuck with them as citizens and residents of Woodland Park. I'm afraid we are going to have the next modern day trailer park. If you want to see what can happen, just look at the corner of 31st Street and Highway 24 in Colorado Springs. Those RVs, there's probably been RVs there since 1970. They haven't moved, but they're still considered recreational vehicles. Anyways, I think if you remove the 180 days, you are no longer in control. And as stewards and my representative as a resident and citizen here of Woodland Park, I would request that you not remove the 180-day limit. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have one other person. It's Chris Kiermeyer
All
signed
right.
up.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council, staff, and Woodland Park. Understanding ordinances and then its relationship to the city as a major with criminology and then a minor in public service and public policy. Reading the language approaching this ordinance is too direct and too vast with implications that my father has previously mentioned. As there have been comments of the change in RV culture, we have to understand that there are also logistical consequences because, you know, while there are more advanced RVs, it is man-made and there is a dedication to make sure that they're upheld. What happens when they break? Where do they go? Can it be taken to a scrapyard? Who is responsible? On a campground site, I'm unsure of the ordinances or statutes presented to ensure the movement of vehicles that are broken down and the responsibility delegated to those people. As most reviewing the RV park FAQs, rules, and legislations, it seems to be more of a promise not to do these things and non-event of what happens when it gets to this point. As public service and public policy, I understand our obligation is to prevent these situations from happening, not to ensure that RV culture is upheld and that these RVs are in place. So I agree with while looking at the agenda and minutes of previous meetings, I agree with some of the councilmen Commissioner Brown, the main complaint being expanding rights without justification, and then rezoning to ensure the accountability of citizens who stay longer than 6 months or 12 months or however long, that they ensure that that zoning and that approval is needed, much like apartments or housing, as they need background checks. They need to ensure that their finances are there and ensure that they are part of this community. So if we want longer relationships and these people who want to stay in RVs and come and go as they please, I think we need to re-look at the language that we're presenting in this ordinance, and that we need to move forward and have a conversation about the further logistics moving forward with the responsibilities that potential residents or potential people in the great city of Woodland Park should have, as would any homeowner or any business owner should uphold their codes and their ordinances and treat them as citizens and such. Thank you for your time in considering this matter.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Sure.
Mayor. Carl, Chris, it's always awkward, Carl and Chris, yeah, talking to both of you. It's always awkward when you come up and present questions because we don't get into a dialogue. I am always interested in continuing the dialogue. I'm going to slide you this so the public knows I'm going to try to get with them and have a cup of coffee. I'm more than willing to carry on further discussions to help me understand, and maybe I can help you understand some things that we have looked. We've been looking at this probably a little bit more than you realize or what we talk about. So perhaps we can follow up with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, and also just for brief clarification, the 180-day rule is not an old rule. We have never had it. It is a recent rule that we may potentially repeal. So just for clarification.
Can I comment a little on that too?
Absolutely.
I just made some highlights, and you both make great comments, by the way. What struck me most is a comment that was made by one of the owners of the trailer park. He purchased this park back in 1984. So he's a longtime resident and a longtime business owner. And if you drive past his park, it's impeccable. So when I look at the fact that we made an error in our judgment, in my judgment for sure, because I voted to say we needed to reassess the decision we made. Some of us were very new to council. We had a new ordinance put in front of us, and we did not understand the terms, the definition of terms. There is a difference between RVs and permanent trailers. So in any case, it went past us, and we realized that we had legislated something that had unintended consequences to the whole community. And so when I looked at that, that says, you know what, that's Woodland Park. Because when did our charters, 1970, what was our? 74, wasn't it? Was it 75? 1975. So you have somebody who's been here a very, very long time with an established business model and service to our community at a very affordable housing. It's pretty obvious at the prices of houses in Woodland Park right now, there is nothing in that, nothing at all in that realm for citizens. And there's a lot who are in the service community who simply cannot afford a $750,000 house, a $425,000 house. These numbers exclude them. I certainly do not want to see the likes of what's down on 35th Street down in Colorado Springs. And I think that our community and our council and our planning board is aware that we are not wanting to create blighted areas in our community. But I just want to say that that's a very compelling point, and there's more. And I could go through some of the other comments, but I just want to let you know that we have been looking at the both sides of this consequence that we created, and we created it, and it was in error, and it put a lot of families who are low income, it put them in uncertainty. Uncertainty about, wow, will I be able to live where I live now and have lived because of this new ordinance? So I would just like to say, as I've reviewed also what the work session by the planning board is and their comments, and they're not all for this, by the way, but I think we're working with a compromise at this point, there's a workability here, and I don't think the issue's over. I mean, there are some good suggestions about how we're going to move forward in looking at this in a fair and balanced way. But I think we do, from a whole community standpoint, I have an obligation to look at those who can afford to live here and those who are really struggling to afford to live here. And they all have merit. So that's...
Thank you. Sure. And we are all council is available at any time. You can reach us by phone, email, and we welcome everyone to join us for a cup of coffee.
And
beer,
likewise.
what have you.
Yeah.
And it's true.
And
I
ask
noticed
us
you have an
any
ASU
questions.
sweatshirt on, so I know what that is.
All right. Council, can I go ahead and get a motion for this?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 1397, series 2021, repealing the 180-day occupancy limitation for the definitions of recreational park trailers and recreational vehicles, and set the public hearing on August 5th, 2021.
I'll second it. Thank you. I knew you wanted to.
You guys are done. You're doing the rest of it.
Case,
Yes.
Labar,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Zulawaga.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Public hearings. 9A to approve ordinance number 1399, and we have Ms. Leclerc presenting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. As council will recall, last council meeting, Director Riley brought this to council's attention, and I'd like to just go into some of the detail. This is the Merritt Academy School District is going to be moving into the how-to store, which is very exciting news. What that does is we have several liquor establishments in this area, and they're in the code and Colorado State statute. You cannot have a school within, the city code is 400 feet of a liquor establishment. The state statute is within 500 feet of a liquor establishment. We are asking council to approve this ordinance to waive that requirement so that this does not affect our liquor licenses that are there in the Gold Hill Square South Shopping Center. I've contacted all the businesses that have liquor licenses. I can go through which ones they are if you'd like. I've invited them all to reach out to council or be here this evening. I don't know if any of them, I don't see any of my liquor licensees people here, but my recommendation, planning's recommendation, staff's recommendation is that council approve this so the businesses can continue in the future. They're grandfathered in right now, but as we talked about last council meeting, if any of these establishments should sell, they would not be able to get new liquor licenses to whomever they sell to, or if a new restaurant or something wants to come into this shopping center, they would not be able to get a new liquor license because of the school being in there. So I would highly encourage council to approve this for our liquor licensees. Thank you.
Council, any questions or comments?
Robert, this is where we kind of kicked it. Let me just say one thing to everybody. I have reached out to Sally. I think what I was trying to point out last council meeting came across perhaps incorrectly. I am not against this ordinance protecting those businesses. And I've kind of assured Sally that I will do what I can to protect those businesses. It's just that I think Robert and I had some discussions prior to the meeting that we would also like to attack a different aspect of the issue. So Sally, you will see me cast a vote to keep my promise, and people will see that I understand the needs of these businesses, but hopefully there may be a little bit of a dialogue. Robert, I'm kind of leaning on you now.
Gee, thanks.
Yeah.
So I have absolutely no problem with this ordinance on its face, but I feel we're asking the wrong question. And I also support, although I haven't seen anything about it, you share in the ordinance that there's an application from a school to come in. And then you put on the same ordinance, and we have this liquor thing. So it's like, I don't know whether one is contingent on the other in terms of approvals and stuff. I don't know about that. But it's a rhetorical at the moment. Okay. Only to say this, that I think we're asking the wrong question. You are asking council to say, it's really okay, it's in the best interest of our community to change the laws surrounding the proximity to alcohol for our kids because it's in the best interest of these business owners. And I totally agree. They have a right. They're already there. And this school or the proposed school has absolutely every right as a free enterprise to do what they're doing. So I think the question's wrong. My question is more like, well, I had the opportunity actually this last week to go to my first school board meeting. And guess what? It was all about the budget. So, and theirs is like 3 times the size of ours. It's like,
It's nightmares.
It is. Well, no, it wasn't. It was very educational, and I was impressed by that. But I was also struck by the fact that I hear from parents that they're not getting the quality of education. And I don't know. I'm just here. This is all I'm hearing. They're not getting the quality from the school district that they expect. And it puts a high demand on a free enterprise system to provide those services. So I don't have a problem protecting these businesses with their licenses so that they can continue to do business, sell their business, do whatever. And I also don't have a problem with the school doing what they're doing. But the question we should be asking is, what's the quality of education our students are getting? How many of our students are actually getting fulfilled by our school district? That's way beyond our jurisdiction. It's not even our wheelhouse, but we're being forced to change law to accommodate the fact that we have a large voice of parents saying we want something different. So I'm conflicted to say, do we push the law which is when well established as parameters in our community for its well-being, because we haven't examined what's going on with the school district, which was my question last council meeting, to say it would be good to have a report from the school district, and COVID has not made it possible. So now hopefully we'll have that. But I'd like to know, as a councilman, what's the climate, the tone of our school district, so we can better look at this and say, is this really the best for our kids? So for me, this is between a rock and a hard place, because I say yes to both of the concepts, but the deeper question is what I'm trying to really say. Shouldn't we be looking at that first?
So would you like me to address that, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Please.
So the Charter Academy, when you're speaking about the law, has a legal right to move into that building.
Agreed.
It has nothing, I know this is a concept you're holding, and I understand the concept you're holding about issues with schools, school choice, why are people leaving the school, why are we in need of the choice? But that is I know you want to tie them, but by law, we are not to tie them. They have a private property right to rent that space. Unfortunately, it is the only commercial space large enough and currently available, and it happens to be right next to restaurants and places that sell alcohol. So our job is only this legally. Do we allow the liquor stores and the restaurants to continue operating and sell the liquor while a school has chosen to move in next to it? That's it. The businesses have a right to continue and function and be protected by us, by law, and the school has a right to move into that building. Our only choice in this moment with this topic is, do we allow the liquor stores and restaurants to be protected by changing the zoning requirement? Should Merit Academy move out of that space, we will be able to revisit the zoning issue and change it back. That doesn't go into perpetuity, but so long as that school has chosen to be there, those businesses can continue to function, and should they decide to sell, that right to continue to sell liquor or serve liquor remains with those businesses, even if it goes to a new owner. That's it. And I understand your concerns. It is actually not really something we can bring to the agenda because, as you stated, it is not in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Now, in the community, you are all welcome to go out. You are welcome to go to the school board meetings. You are welcome to meet with the Merit Academy people and do all the investigation and research and fulfill your concerns that you would like. But for this particular vote on this particular topic, it is not appropriate to be concerned with that issue. The only issue we are concerned with is, are we going to allow the liquor licenses to continue to operate? And should those businesses be sold, the new owners will also be allowed to continue to operate. And it is, in a sense, an unfortunate circumstance that this is the only place the school is able to find for the time being. Maybe forever, I don't know. But either way, we are supporting the private property rights and the license rights of both of these parties. We are protecting the law and protecting these individuals separately. And that is what I think is to be done and necessary. And if you have a conflict with that, you are welcome to vote as you please. But that is the purpose that we are here for. Did I explain that properly?
Oh, yeah, I'm
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm 100% on board with what you've just provided for us. I guess the question, I'm trying to put myself into citizens that are listening. When they hear Robert address, there's an underlying issue. And I think what I'm hearing from your guidance is we as council members, we have no role with the schools.
Correct.
What we can do for the citizens, for you, and anybody listening is, I think we can get more active, involved with going to the school board meetings. We cannot go there and stand up as a council member representing the council, which I would not do. But I can go there as a council member representing Rusty Neal's individual thoughts and just speak what I think we're hearing from the community. So I'm going to try to work it into my schedule. Robert, I know you'll try to work it into your schedule to be able, I know
Sure.
the two of you will. And I guess we're trying to reassure the community, we hear you and we will do what we can within our legal authority.
Right. And because this is legislative, not
Yes.
quasi judicial,
Yep.
you guys are allowed to say that.
Yep.
So
So
See, it was worth it. It was worth your pre-discussion.
And Robert is so much more eloquent. That's why I dump it on to him. Okay, let me do the setting of the stage and then let Robert speak because he does it so much better.
Well, thank you, Rusty. Very good. You've made it very clear. And I'm hearing your legal training in what you're saying. So that I acknowledge that. I would very much like to hear what the public comment is. So
sure, if we have some.
I think we have some.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have one person, it's a late submittal that we just got a few minutes ago.
Okay.
She's via Zoom and
All right.
it's, or maybe in the audience, Katie Eilingworth.
She's here.
Oh, she's here. Okay. I got it in an email, so.
You want to?
Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, good evening. My name is Katie Illingworth, and I'm a resident of Woodland Park. And on behalf of the Merit Academy Board of Directors and families, I want to thank the City Council for its attention to this proposed ordinance. While the ordinance at issue is not a prohibition that applies to Merit Academy or our move into the school site, nevertheless, we appreciate your attention in resolving this technicality so that all of our neighbors at Gold Hill Plaza feel comfortable that they are following the law with the full support of the City Council. We are pleased to see in the audience some of the constituents in Teller County who are excited about and in support of Merit Academy. The opening of Merit Academy, which is a classical school that focuses on the education of the whole child with the goal of creating responsible citizens in a free society, represents an incredible educational opportunity for the families here in Teller County and their children. We are pleased to have nearly 200 students enrolled at Merit Academy, with another 100 students as part of our homeschool enrichment program, with a daily growing wait list. We are very glad to see Merit Academy supporters here tonight at this meeting. And again, I thank you for your attention to this very important matter. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also saw Mr. Nakai had his hand up.
Good evening, Council. Mike Nakai, Woodland Park. First off, I don't have a dog in this fight. I would just like to put some thoughts that I haven't heard you guys consider. I just want to make sure it's out there. The first is kind of a question maybe directed to the city attorney. Given the work session we just had, this is a second occasion that I know of in a short time frame where we have had an individual applicant need something that has resulted in a legislative ordinance change. So this starts to muddy the waters for what appears to me a QJ item, but it's being treated legislatively. So in other words, this applicant could make what would otherwise be considered ex parte communications to council or commission members. So that's just I don't know how you get around that, but you know, this is more than once that this has happened. It's unfortunate that the town's so small that occurs. The second question is on the first reading of this. I believe it was explained that this is a state statute, but the city has reduced the distance on its own accord. So there is a state statute to keep the schools and these establishments separate, but we can reduce that amount. Is there a limit to how much we can reduce that amount?
Sally, you can answer. It's not the first time we've done this.
Yeah, I know. Right.
So the state statute also allows home rule communities to amend their distance separations. And in fact, Woodland Park made an amendment down to 400 feet from 500 feet in 1985. And then again, adopted a special area in our downtown when we had a school that was moved into Henrietta and Park Street.
Right. So it's within our
It's within our
home
wheelhouse.
rule capability to reduce that amount,
Yes.
irrespective of the state statutes. Okay. So my last point is I am a proponent of the rule of law. I'm not a proponent of waiving laws, ignoring them, not enforcing them. I believe you folks, if you either want separation between your schools and these establishments or not, that's a two-way street. For instance, let's say the school was there first, and now the liquor stores want to come in to that same shopping center. Would you give the same tolerance and leniencies to the liquor stores in waiving this distance restriction? So I think the property rights go both ways. To Mayor Pro Tem's comment that the school has a right to go there, I'm not as on board with that because the state statute says they are to be separated. And if the liquor stores are there first, I'm not so sure they have that right. So these are just some points I just thought you might consider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, are there any other comments? And I don't see any on Zoom.
I don't have any, ma'am.
Okay. Council, are you ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 1399, series 2021 on initial posting, eliminating the school-related distance restrictions applicable to premises holding a liquor license located in the Gold Hill Square South Shopping Center with the addresses of 701 through 797 Gold Hill Square Place and 519 West US 24.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Labar,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Zuluaga,
For all my concerns, no.
Case.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-1. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Council, we have 5 minutes till 9. Do you want to try to get through 9B, or do you want to go ahead and take a 10-minute break now? Break? All right. For the audience, we are going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. And
Max Levy.
it's
you have a
8:56,
moment?
so back in 10 minutes, please. All right, we're going to call this meeting back to order. And we are at item 9B, and that's approve ordinance number 1398. And Cindy Keating is here to present that for us.
Thank you and good evening, Mayor Pro Tem LaBarre and council members. On June 3rd, at initial posting, council approved unanimously to change park closures to read neighborhood parks are closed from 30 minutes after sunset to 30 minutes before sunrise, and community parks and sport complexes are closed from 10 p.m. to 30 minutes before sunrise. On June 7th, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board reviewed the changes presented by City Council via email. The board unanimously approved the removal of the 30 minutes after sunset and the 30 minutes before sunset. The board felt that this would be a much cleaner ordinance, easier for any needed enforcement, and better for any kind of park language on our signage. So tonight, we recommend the approval of the amended park closure to state neighborhood parks are closed from sunset to sunrise. Community parks and sport complexes are closed from 10 p.m. to sunrise.
Okay, council, questions or comments?
I just want to know how it's going to affect the vampires' schedule.
I think they're going to understand just fine.
Okay, okay.
They
Thank you,
can't read
Cindy.
dictionaries.
I don't think they wear a watch.
They don't need to.
They don't
They
need to.
just know.
They watch that sunset
That's
and
right.
sunrise.
So- Okay, so council, can I get a motion, please?
We need a public hearing.
Oh, yeah. Is there anyone
let's
here
have
for? I almost didn't forget.
I know.
Almost.
Okay.
I don't see any hands up on Zoom and I don't see anyone in the audience. So now may I have a motion?
You may.
Your turn.
I propose that we approve ordinance number 1398, series 2021, amending chapter 14 of the Woodland Park Municipal Code to repeal and reenact section 14.04.030, number 25, concerning the hours of closure of the city parks. And that's it, right?
Set the public hearing for June 17th, 2021.
June 17th is way gone.
This is the final.
This is the actual
This is
deal.
the actual
We're-
thing.
I
Well,
think that was it.
Shame on me.
You can second it.
It's late, Robert. I'll mind my own business. I'll second
Oh, sorry.
with the amendments as presented. Yes?
Well,
No. no
they're now
amendments.
part of it, right?
As presented.
As
as presented.
presented. God, I second it. Shut up, Kelly.
It can only help so much.
Thank you. Neil,
Yes.
Zualaga,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
and Labar.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank
guys
you.
take the rest of it. I don't
Thank you.
talking.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, we're on to 10, new business. We have 10A, approval of the dedication of a memorial plaque for former Mayor Neil Levy. And the presenter was Suzanne Leclerc, but it's going to be Ms. Keating.
Thank you. As council will recall, resolution number 874, series 2021, establishing the naming and memorial committee was adopted by council on April 15th, 2021. City manager Michael Lawson received a letter from Carol Harvey asking that a plaque be placed at Panther Field at Meadowood Sports Complex to honor the memory of our late Mayor Neil Levy. As per resolution number 874, the committee members consist of city manager Michael Lawson, city clerk Suzanne Leclerc, Parks and Recreation Director Cindy Keating, Mayor Pro Tem Hillary LaBarre, and council member Case. The committee reviewed the request from Carol Harvey and would like to ask council to approve this memorial plaque to be placed at Panther Field in Meadowood Sports Complex.
All right, is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak? I see no hands in the audience and I don't see any hands on Zoom. Council, any questions or comments?
No.
All right, may I get a motion?
Okay.
I'd
Go ahead,
like
you
to
do it.
make a motion to approve the dedication of a memorial plaque for former Mayor Neil Levy to be located at Panther Field, Meadowood Sports Complex.
I'd second that.
Thank you. I have a motion
Bless you.
and a second for the vote. Zualaga,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Labar,
Yes.
and Neil.
I'm honored to say yes to this motion.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item 10. Oh, no, we did 10B already.
We're
Look
done.
at that, we're done. We're at reports.
No longer.
Well, not done, but done.
Not done, but almost done. And this evening, I just have a couple of announcements. We have the Farmers Market Friday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Memorial Park. We will be having the old-fashioned 4th of July celebration in Memorial Park from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the 4th. And the annual Symphony Above the Clouds will be July 5th from starting at 5 p.m. and that will be at the Woodland Park Middle School. And that's all I have for the evening. Kelly?
Thank you. I wanted to report that last Saturday, the City of Woodland Park, in cooperation with Keller Williams Clients Choice Office here in Woodland Park and several other sponsors and partners, did the electronics recycling event for this year. We had over 300 cars come through, and we did it at the city's Public Works facility, which facilitated a drive-through in the maintenance barn or facility. And it was a 2-lane drive-through. And I'm telling you, it was great. We had no lines. It flowed smoothly. They were able to keep up with the crating and shrink wrapping of the millions of big honking TVs and box TVs that still come. Very successful event. It was outstanding. People are so grateful. And I just want to acknowledge that I don't have the weight of what was recycled yet, but as soon as I have it, I'll share that soon. And then I wanted to announce as well that the second part of our ecological contribution to the community is a shred event sponsored by IREA and the rest of us. And that will be at the Public Works facility, same setup, on July 17th. And that will be complimentary to the public as well. So make plans to bring all your shredding to the Public Works facility, 2410 Rampart Range Road on the 17th of July, 9 a.m. to noon. Thank you.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Report from Main Street. Main Street hosted a downtown cleanup on May 21st and had 27 volunteers, 2 city employees. And they worked from 9 to noon. Thank you all very much. They've scheduled a fall downtown cleanup for Friday, September 17th. The Main Street Promotion Committee members hung flags and buntings along Highway 24 through the downtown corridor on Tuesday, June 22nd, for the upcoming July 4th events. These decorations will stay up until the 13th. Main Street assisted SOAR with promoting the old-fashioned 4th of July celebration by passing out flyers, posters, social media postings, and recruiting volunteers for the event. Main Street will have a booth on the 4th of July and will be selling their Woodland Park commemorative Christmas ornaments as a fundraiser for the organization. So you got to get one of them. They're only $10. Colorado Main Street announced the Celebrating Main Street campaign was very successful and all 21 Main Street communities participated. They reported 500 total survey responses and Woodland Park was in the top 15 communities to respond. Because of that, Woodland Park will be in the Main Street communities featured, one of the communities featured in the Main Street, Colorado Main Street newsletter. And finally, Woodland Park Main Street will be coordinating a sidewalk sales event for businesses on Saturday, August 7th from 10 to 3. Also happening on that day are the Mountain Arts Festival, Vino and Notes, the Critter Fest at the Dinosaur Resource Center. So there will be a lot going on in Woodland Park that day for people to experience. Save the date. That's Saturday, August 7th from 10 to 3. Join in the fun. Speaking of fun, I was, as you also may have received an invitation to go to the COG car opening yesterday. They opened the Pikes Peak Summit Visitor Center and sent out invitations to join in the festivities. Well, the governor was there. All of the bigwigs down in Colorado Springs were there. It was a fabulous event. I actually got a piece of the cutting ribbon and it's laying on the chair at home. I'm sorry, but I'd like to give it to City Council or to the city, because it's such an important part of our region. The Anschutz, I'm forgetting the name.
Anschutz.
Anschutz, the Anschutz family, the Broadmoor, the state of Colorado, the Colorado Springs and El Paso County, a number of partnerships, in fact, United States Forest Service, the Army Research Institute, and Colorado Springs Utility, they all partnered for this to restore this COG car and the rail. $100 million. $100 million. 50% of that, I think, will be somehow they've worked out an agreement. They've worked together for that to be reinstated to the state or the city or whatever. But it's a fabulous partnership. And tickets are only for 13 years or older, they're $58. And if you pre-register, they're only $68. And if you're a 3 to 12-year-old, they're $48 to $58. So I figure a quick math, family of 4 costs you a couple $100, $212 to go up. It's fabulous. They have totally reworked that rail. And I have some pictures. I don't know, maybe I can post them or I can give them to somebody in IT and you can pick ones you want to see. But I think I'm saying all this to say that the COG rail is an integral part of what people see. You know what you see from the COG rail when you go up to the top? Teller County. You just see Teller County. You know, that's what the view is. So you see the mine, you see, I mean, some of you have probably already been up there, but it's great. It's very exciting to see what they've done. So I was a representative here, and Paul Saunier had the courage to go up to the governor, shake his hand, and tell him that Teller County wants him to visit. So I believe tentatively the governor told him, well, maybe sometime in August. So that's all I know. I am finished reporting.
Thank you. Nina, any reports for us?
I don't have any reports. You guys heard from me enough. But I know Jeff left for vacation right after he last met and unfortunately didn't hold up to his end of the bargain. But I hear that Michael has a dad joke prepared. So now both Sally and Michael, I'm their favorite person today.
I don't know what.
I don't know. That's a dad joke. That's a dad joke.
Certainly. Last Monday, we had our first in-person meeting, which was very exciting with the subcommittees at the Cultural Center. Great participation. Our consultants have been working on the edits. I will be getting the full document over the weekend to look at and get that back out to the subcommittees. We have slightly adjusted the schedule, the workshop schedule for the Planning Commission. Their first meeting will be on July 22nd, beginning at 5:30, and then follow every 2 weeks. A chunk of the comp plan will be reviewed by the Planning Commission, their draft. So if you have any questions or comments, happy to answer those.
Only the one, would you share the fact that you redid the schedule based on feedback you had from that meeting on Monday?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the feedback, and yes, we needed to slow down just a bit. We were pushing pretty hard, and we need to take our time for this important review.
All right. Looks like this meeting is adjourned. So, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.